Guys, what's up, YouTube? We back with another one, undisputed, another undisputed. This one is talking about Deshaun Watson 6 games. I guess Skip and Shannon gonna be talking about it, how they feel about it, and everything. He got a 6 game suspension, from all the allegations he was going through from the last 2 years, I believe, 2 years. And then he just signed with the Browns this year, got a large amount of money for it, but then they saying he gonna be out for six games, which means Jacoby Brissett would be playing, which is good for my team because we played on week 1. But what I'm saying, we're just gonna see what they got to say about it, and I'll put in my 2 cents or whatever. So let's get right into it.
Los Angeles, I'm Jen Hale here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning, guys. How are we today?
Good morning, Jen. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, you are hot. You are on a roll. Dallas Cowboys lose James Washington. Tom Brady loses his center. And you being the #1 Cowboy Brady hater in America, you must be celebrating.
Why would I celebrate somebody's misfortune?
You. Yeah, you.
Your misfortune, you absolutely correct.
Yeah.
The Cowboys, Tom Brady, no.
Yeah,
You.
Way to go. Congratulations, Shannon, but it's early.
Yes, early. You got a chance, James Washington, to be back.
We'll see.
We have a ton to get to.
What happened to
today,
James Washington?
Guys. Before
I don't
we
even know what
digest
happened to him.
all those injuries, though, I want to go back to the topic we started yesterday with. Speaking of having time to digest things, Deshaun Watson suspended for 6 games to start the season, but he is not going to be fined. That's according to the ruling from disciplinary officer Sue Robinson. In her 16-page report, Judge Robinson noted the NFL recommended Watson be suspended for the entire 17-game season. Big difference there. Shannon, all right, you've had...
Wait, I saw something. Before they start talking, I saw something on Instagram or Twitter. It was one of those, and somebody was saying that if Watson's only getting 6 games, then somebody else should be coming back to the league because that's not fair or something like that. I forgot who it was though. I want to say it was a Texan. No, I don't know what team it was, but somebody was actually really upset about it because he felt like it was unfair.
some time to go through this, unpack it all. Do you agree with the 6 games versus the 17-game recommendation the NFL gave?
Well, Skip, first of all, I don't agree with a lot of things, but we've got to stop saying because we don't agree with the outcome that we disagree with how she arrived at the outcome. Look, I don't believe there's a number of game or a year, the number of years suspension that would have pleased a lot of people. I mean, short of him losing the entire $230 million, short of him being in jail for a number of years, wasn't going to satisfy the thirst
I'll buy that.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But Skip, when she looks at and you said and how she arrived at her decision, she said the NFL cannot unilaterally change the punishment decisions without giving proper notice to those affected.
Yep.
So in other words, she said, okay, this was your pattern before. This is what you did before.
That's what she
you went
said.
2 games, you went 6 games, you went as high as 10 games, but it was a pattern of repeat. So they were repeat offenders.
Oh,
She said,
okay.
It was a first-time offender, and you jumped from 2, 4, 6, 10 games all the way to 17.
Even
Okay,
though
I see what they're
these
saying.
offenses
I see what they're
weren't
saying.
just one, they were multiple. But go ahead.
But you got to give, and she said, look, she understood, and what she kept saying, and I think a lot of people getting hung up, violent versus non-violent. And she's like, well, she said, I'm just basing this on what you said. This is what you've given me.
Yep.
And look, Skip, I get it. And when you and I first sat down and we started talking about this months ago,
Yep.
you and I both, I think we're on the same page. You're like, I
Yep.
think Skip somewhere between 6 to 8 games is what he's going to get.
Yep.
And then, we started hearing about more women started coming forward. And the graphic nature of what was transpiring. It
You know,
The HBO.
when it comes to this situation, I'm not gonna really try to pause this. I really want to hear what they got to say. But when it comes to this situation, I've been trying to keep up with it, but I don't really. All I keep hearing is allegations, new allegations keep coming, and then he was suspended, not suspended, but he was out the league for a couple years. He got traded. Da da da. I don't really know in depth about what's going on for real, but I do know like it was like 26 allegations or something. Something like that.
when they sat down and started talking. Yeah, right. But Skip, I think she said basically what's transpiring here in NFL is that what you do is that you wait for the public to give you outcry, and then you base your punishment on that.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that is
okay.
unfair.
Yeah, that is
And so
unfair.
basically,
You
she
can't be
tried
basing. You can't base
and I
punishment
think
based off
people
of social
what they're
media.
most
Like, come
upset
on.
with her is that she used Deshaun to correct all the wrongs the NFL has done to other players.
Yep.
Skip, I believe if Zeke Elliott case had come before her, Zeke Elliott would have been playing. I believe if Tom Brady case would have come before her, Tom Brady would have been playing. That's what I believe.
Well, and by the way, Brady's case went before the judge in the Manhattan court.
Right.
And that's what he threw it right out. He said, this is absurd. He laughed at the NFL's case until it went to the next stage.
I don't know what happened to Tom Brady. They're talking about the
CBA. It wasn't about any merits of the case. It was like
Tom Brady has so many things.
This belongs to the arbitrator, and you agreed to it. And that's what they've always said. Well, your guys sided to it. The union got lawyers, competent lawyers, and you let this happen. So for me, Skip, I don't know, Skip. I'm fair. What is fair? You go by the merry-go-round. You can see animals. You win stuffed animals. Fair. 6 games. If he had given Skip, if they had given him 8 games, I wouldn't have stood on the table and said, this is unfair. He didn't deserve. And I think, Skip, if you read what she said Skip, I'm not so sure. Maybe if he'd had remorse, I'm not so sure he got anything. She said one of the reasons, the aggravating circumstances, you've shown no remorse.
Yeah.
It was the lack of, and when they had the first, well, I guess the
Dang,
first.
this is crazy. 6 games. Okay, let me see. This is crazy. He had no remorse. I don't. But the thing is, I followed Deshaun Watson. I haven't seen him talk about it since. But he probably not allowed to talk about it, so that's probably why he had no remorse. I don't know. This is crazy. 6 games is a. It's a lot, but it's not. You know, that's less than half the season now because we have 17 games now. Like that's less than half the season. You can lose. You can go 0-6 and still make it to the playoffs if you win out. You know what I'm saying? Like.
But
That's
I can
crazy.
live with the 6 games he got. When you read her conclusion and how she arrived at that, I just think people are upset that she used Deshaun Watson as the case to say to NFL, you've been monking over players for such a long time. I'm going to correct it with this, and hopefully you'll rewrite policy and you will have things in black and white. Says if you do X, Y, Z, this is a violent offense. This is a non-violent offense. I think she took issue that they've tried to lump all this into a situation and then try to say, okay, here it is right here. This is all the games you're going to get. And they lumped it all into one. But I don't have like I said, if he had gotten 8 games, Skip, I'm cool with that.
I don't think
6, I'm going to live with her decision because she was a former
I wouldn't.
judge, Skip.
It don't
She's
matter
handled
what
cases,
decision
maybe
he would have
not-
got.
maybe not
I wouldn't
central
have been
cases
mad
or
at
things
it.
of this
You know,
nature.
like if he
But
would have had
to
the
say
whole
now all of
season.
a sudden you're going to question her
I mean,
credibility,
he
I
did.
don't
He
think
got
that's
he
right.
got paid the
Okay.
consequences for what he did. That's just
I
how.
hear
That's
you.
just how I feel.
I'm surprised at your take because I didn't know where you were going to go, but I believe you're heading in the right direction here. When I first heard that they were going to fix this problem by NFL and NFLPA agreeing upon an independent arbitrator, I sort of fancifully envisioned, they'll find somebody who can just sit back independently and say, I believe you're right, NFL. He deserves a whole nother year off.
Right.
Or 8 games or whatever.
Right.
But Sue L. Robinson, to your point, is a former federal judge. She handled this just the way she handled thousands of cases that came through her courtroom. She sat back and she said, okay, NFL lawyers, you make your case. Now, NFLPA lawyers, you make your case.
Yes.
I'm not going to go research this on my own. You come to me with
Yep.
what your findings were, and I can only react to your findings and your rules that are already in place. I can't change your rules.
So she did her
for you.
job.
I can't
She did her
create
job.
past precedents for you. I can only react to what you bring me and put on the table right before me.
Correct.
So she says, and I read from her findings, my findings. The NFL alleges that Deshaun Watson violated 3 provisions of the Personal Conduct Code by engaging in, number 1, sexual assault, number 2, conduct that poses a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person, and number 3, conduct that undermines or puts at risk the integrity of the National Football League. And she, in great depth, addresses all 3.
Correct.
in 2 of the 3, she immediately points out that quote unquote sexual assault is the first one here. It's not clearly defined in the CBA. So she's saying I'm a little bit hamstrung here because I don't know exactly what do you call sexual assault because you didn't provide me your definition in
So
your
they don't have a
CBA
okay.
Okay, that's
Okay.
on the NFL. That's the NFL's fault.
Yeah, that's on them.
Then we can continue to go here, and she says off the first sort of declaration from the NFL, I find that the NFL has produced sufficient circumstantial evidence to prove that Mr. Watson knew such sexualized contact was unwanted. Okay, so number 1 is proven true. And then we go to number 2. And she again points out there's no definition provided in the CBA of number 2 exactly, but then she goes through the preponderance of evidence because the burden of proof is on the accuser, on the lawyers for the prosecution, right?
Which is the NFL in this case.
Okay, it's the NFL. And she finally concludes, I find the NFL has carried its burden of proof by a preponderance of the evidence that Mr. Watson's conduct posed a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person. And then she goes to number 3, the detriment of the league was imperiled by Deshaun Watson. And she concludes, it is apparent Mr. Watson acted with reckless disregard for the consequences of his actions by exposing himself in the NFL to such public scrutiny and speculation. Okay, so she goes, boom, boom, boom. It's a trifecta. She says, I agree. You're right. What you have accused him of, 3 violations of the conduct code. She says, yeah, you're right on all 3.
This is almost like a civil suit, Skip, because she used the term preponderance of the evidence, more probable than not, and not beyond a reasonable doubt. So that was the only standard that the NFL had.
I'm confused. What was it? He just said you was right. I'm trying to find out how they how did she come up with only give him 6 games? I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding.
Watson engaged in this behavior.
I'm saying only 6 games. That might be a lot for an NFL player though, but.
And she says the NFL has recommended that Mr. Watson be suspended for
here we
at
go.
least the entire 2022 NFL regular season and postseason. According to the NFL, if this recommended sentence is unprecedented, that is because his conduct is unprecedented.
Right.
So the NFL is saying, we've never encountered anything like this misconduct.
Right.
So you need to give him an unprecedented penalty here.
Right.
You need to suspend him for the entire year.
Right.
Okay, so now we go on through her findings, and she says, while it may be entirely appropriate to more severely discipline players for nonviolent sexual conduct, I do not believe it is appropriate to do so without notice of the extraordinary changes this position portends for the NFL and its players.
Right.
So she's saying once again, NFL, my hands are tied here. You brought this into my court.
Right.
But you didn't give me no.
I can only respond and react to your rules.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now I'm seeing. So she decided not to give the full season. They want to give him full season. She decided no, you can't give me full season because although yes he did all these things, y'all rules don't clarify that he should be punished for not such actions, like he should be punished for those actions, but since your rules isn't in depth, it's not allowing her to make a ruling for a full season. Like it's not allowing her to make a ruling on what they should actually do. So she's pretty much coming up with her own. She's like, you don't really got rules, so I'm gonna come with my own thing. Boom, 6 games. Like that's crazy.
Your precedent
That's crazy.
For how you governed in the past. How did you penalize? How did you punish in the past?
Right.
And then she gotta go based off of the past.
There's nothing like this. And,
Yeah.
and you're right. This is unprecedented misbehavior.
Yeah.
But she's saying.
Then she gotta go based off of past information, past situations, and just look at it like, oh, he did this and this. He got 10 games for that. That was worse than this. So you know what I'm saying? So it's just like my college professor said, everything in writing stays in writing, and that is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't put something down in writing, it just won't be. If you don't put something down in writing, then it just don't count. That's pretty much all it is. Like they didn't come with everything they had to come with. All the rule they didn't come with rules in depth. They probably don't have rules in depth because they don't expect situations like this to happen. But NFL was just unprepared, and she and Watson, well, Watson got the better half of it, I would say, and she just ruled in favor, not in favor, but she was just not unbiased. She did what her job. But that's it for this video. If you like, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. I be streaming at night. You know what I'm saying? Having a little Minecraft session with the boys right now. And that's about it. I'll see you guys in the next video.